So the decision to put it into the cloud was really because that's where everything's going. I mean, there's no, you know, if you want to take music technology to entry-level users and to smartphones, you can't expect the computing power that musicians these days have when they buy Logic or Cubase or whatever. So the idea of having it in the cloud basically means you have a server somewhere, a very powerful server. That's, you know, and your computer is nothing but a remote control. We use a Flash application that remote controls what you're doing. But you know, when you record your singing, what's happening is basically that Flash application streams into the cloud, into the server, and everything is rendered there, which means you can run UJAM at the same quality on a very, very small smartphone or you know, on a game console or whatever. So that's the idea behind putting it in the cloud. Plus, in the cloud, sharing is much easier, collaboration is much easier. And of course, integration is much easier. One idea behind UJAM, you know, through Sequoia, of course, we talked to the YouTube people or RockU people, and as you probably know, I mean, they have got problems with soundtracks, and you know, UJAM is one way of very simply integrating music creation into those services, which is not possible if you sell a software application. And so the sound generation technology. That's also pretty simple. We're using real audio. I think that's the whole secret. I mean, yeah, there's a few nuts, a few bells and whistles to that. We're not using simple like WAV files or so. But I think it was a very good decision, you know, to not use samplers or synthesizers, because you want the stuff to sound real. I remember, you know, a bunch of years ago we did a virtual instrument called Virtual Guitarist, which was very successful because it was what I call a key answering machine. It was real guitar recordings, and then it would just, you know, based on which chords you played, it would pick the right recordings. But it was actually, you would control a real guitarist. That's the same thing with UJAM. And then Paul Collette and I, we spent a few months on the chord recognition and melody detection. That's a whole, I mean, we're probably 50% there. That's such a lot of work because there's no academic approach to it. Like, you know, if you could solve it academically, I'm pretty sure somebody would have done it 20 years ago. The problem is from the actual audio waveform you're getting when somebody sings. That doesn't tell you a lot of what did the person really want to sing first. And then also it's very hard to tell, you know, where does a note start, where does a note end, all the articulation. So I think the art is really trying to guess the intention of the singer rather than measure the audio that you get, and then and the chord recognition, or you know, the chords we're creating. I mean, I've probably been lucky. I was never able to read scores, so when you know, I made all my money in the studio just because anybody could play a melody to me, and I would just, you know, I could instantly harmonize it. So that's basically what we did. You know, I would just take melodies, harmonize them, and write up for Paul. Okay, I'm picking this chord because, I'm picking that chord because of that. So it's a total non-academic approach. So currently in UJAM you're basically getting my harmonization in a very simple way, because we're picking the most logical, popular chords. It's going to be way more flexible and complicated and complex later. But that's, you know, in a very long nutshell, that's the underlying technology behind UJAM. Well, a good problem is that after Techcrunch Disrupt, we're under a lot of pressure now. I mean, we got thousands of beta registrations in the very first week. So everybody's waiting for us now to go public. The problem is, when we went to Techcrunch, I mean, we seriously were alpha. This was the work of 9 months and 3 people and a bunch of contractors. We don't even have the infrastructure yet to serve more than 250 users. We've let in 250 users now. They're working on the server and stuff. So yeah, what's our next goal? Our next goal is to go public within the next couple of months, which means working a lot on the server infrastructure, working on getting all the social functionality in there. I mean, eventually we want people to be able to share their creations on Facebook or, you know, wherever. We want people to be able to collaborate on stuff. And of course, as you probably heard in the TechCrunch demo, we're thinking about different kinds of business models. So the service is supposed to be free as a basic service, but we also want to make to offer premium packages like styles or melody instruments or stuff. And we want this to be a marketplace. I mean, also for companies from the industry that we come from. So people could, companies could put sample content or music content or stuff up there. All that stuff has to be built. There's database infrastructure behind that. It's not there. So that's where the current pressure is, getting it out to the public. Well, I mean, the temptation is certainly there. The weather's so much better. There's so much more beach in California. Why didn't we do it? Because when we started the company, I mean, I think I was in the US like 9 times last year. I spent most of last year in the US, in California. When we started the company, we thought, okay, we're based in Bremen right now, the 3 of us. Why waste any time or resources with moving to California at this point? Let's just start it and see where this is going. And currently we're hiring people here in Bremen. It's not so much because, you would usually think people are much cheaper in Germany. I don't think that's the case anymore. One factor is definitely in Bremen you're not competing with Google for employees, for good developers. And then we have amazing representation in California by Mark Kwame in Menlo Park. And plus we have Hans and his people in Santa Monica. So they can take care of all the American business. I can fly over every now and then. But I can tell you where we are going to be in 6 months or a year from here. We might be still in Bremen. We might be in 2 locations. I don't know. We'll just do whatever makes most sense. I think that's a German view of things, or it's the long winter. No, I mean seriously. Yeah, I mean, obviously Charlie Steinberg and Gerhard Lengeling started the whole MIDI sequencing thing. That's 2 people from Hamburg starting it pretty much at the same time. But no, I don't know. I've met so many people in California who are amazing music developers, and as a matter of fact, most of the synthesizer industry came from the US. A lot of music software came from the US. Like Cakewalk or doesn't come to my mind right now, but there's a bunch of other programs there. So a Performer, that was the one I was looking for. I can't tell you really why it's so many people in Germany. Probably because Germany's got such a strong engineering background, such a strong music background. That certainly tells you why there's not so many people from, say, Italy or Spain. But I think these days it's on par. And now when I look at the internet industry, through TechCrunch and through our new business, I get way more exposed to the internet industry. And I have to say, Silicon Valley, there's a lot more happening there. It's just somewhere different. People are... All the talent is in services like Google or Facebook or YouTube. And what strikes me now that I get a little bit more insight is if you look at something like Google, it looks very simple. I mean, it says, what are you looking for? It just says that to you and you type a term and you get a bunch of results. But that's very, very complex technology. Same is true for YouTube or same, not necessarily for video encoding, decoding. But, setting up a website like YouTube, that's a lot of very complex work. And I think that's where most people in Silicon Valley are busy with now. It's the IT industry there is big, and I think that's where the music industry has to go as well.